Today, I'm going to talk about my everyday camera sling and all the pieces of tech I take along with me if I'm ever headed out with my camera on a weekend adventure. And just to let you know, if you like anything you see in this video, it will all be linked in the description. It all starts with a camera, and I'm currently using the Sony a7 IV. This isn't a new camera, but it's new to me. I've been using it for a few months now after my a7 III developed a list of faults which deemed it unreliable for commercial work. I'm really impressed with the camera. The images it produces are really nice, the colors are good, and there's a lot of room for editing with its decent dynamic range and low light performance. And I also cannot neglect to mention that the video features are really good. I've surprised myself that it's taken me 5 years to get on board with 10-bit video. It really does help with the quality of my image, which I'm hoping translates well in this video. If there's one thing I would say I did not like about this camera, it is the flip out screen. It's good in certain situations, but I'd love one of those fancy screens you can pull out, rotate and twist in all sorts of angles, like most cameras released in the past 2 years. The main two lenses I take out with me are complete polar opposites when it comes to price and quality. Firstly is the 16-35 Sony f2.8 GM lens. It's a jack of all trades when it comes to lenses. You get that nice wide shot when you need it, and with a digital punch-in, you can achieve something around 50mm. It's sharp, the images are really good, and considering this is version 1 and not the newly released version 2, I'd still highly recommend this lens. It is a bit on the heavy side, but you get a solid construction and the safety of knowing it will be safe if the weather turns awful. The next lens is the old cheap and cheerful Nifty 50. I bought this 50mm 1.8 lens as I wanted to take a few more shallow depth of field photos and force myself to think differently when it comes to taking photos. Limiting yourself to a specific focal length is a nice challenge that I like to give myself from time to time. And considering this is one of the cheapest lenses for Sony cameras, it is really good value for money. I really rate this for a cost to performance ratio, but in all honesty, if I were ever to have a spare bit of income, I would love to upgrade to a 50mm 1.2 GM lens for that extra shallow look, sharpness, and better build quality. If you're going to use a camera, you're going to need batteries, so I always carry 3 Sony batteries with me at all times. One is always in the camera and 2 are spare to be ready to switch out whenever I need them. I rarely need to change out batteries, but you never know when you might need that spare battery. And just like batteries, I also need to bring along some memory cards, and I've been using the same 3 64GB Sony SDXC cards for 5.5 years with 0 issues. I've taken well over 100,000 photos across all 3 cards, plus countless hours of footage, so I really recommend the Sony SDXC cards. They're really fast with their 300 megabits per second read and write speeds, which make burst photos quick with no buffering, and importing photos is extremely fast with the built-in UHS 2 card readers on both my MacBook Pro and Thunderbolt dock. I store the spare cards in this extremely cheap, newer card case, which isn't even available anymore. I bought this in 2018 and it holds 4 SD and 8 microSD cards. It's waterproof and shockproof, and I've never once had any issues with it, so I'll link to a similar card holder as this one is currently unavailable. I also like to have a strap with me which I can wrap around my arm when I'm taking photos or throw over my shoulder when I'm walking about without putting my camera away. The one I'm using is this really cheap rope strap I found on Amazon. It feels great, but I'm a bit disappointed I couldn't use my Peak Design quick release clips with it. So if you're looking for a cheap, trendy looking strap, this one is good to go, but be aware you can't use this with quick release straps. If you are watching and you happen to know anyone who makes an affordable rope strap which works with Peak Design clips, please let me know in the comments. Finally, on the camera side of things, I sometimes bring out this K&F variable ND filter. Consider this sunglasses for your lenses. It allows me to drop my exposure between 5 and 9 stops, which opens up the options to shoot wide open at slower shutter speeds when it's bright outside, which I found to be very much needed now the sun has decided to show its face in England. And to carry everything around securely, I'm using something a little premium. And before I tell you what it is, I will state that I was sent this bag, and the likeliness of me ever spending this sort of money on a camera bag is very slim. Most probably because I don't have the sort of spare income to justify the asking price of £459 for a camera bag, let alone a camera sling. But the sling in question is the Grams28 172 camera sling, and despite the eye-watering price, I absolutely love this thing. Why is it this expensive? Well, to start with, it's full grain pebbled Italian leather and features some really nice details. I mean, take a look at the buckles on the strap, this awesome magnetic clip, organizing pouches, a pocket for your passport and wallet, the front pouch with the slots for batteries and SD cards, and if you have an iPad mini, you can fit one directly inside the bag. Unfortunately, I don't have an iPad mini, so you'll have to trust me on that one, or just look on their website like I did. It comfortably fits my camera with a 50mm lens attached, and with the included dividers, I can place my 16 to 35mm lens directly next to it. I think the reason I like this bag so much is that, to me, it doesn't look like your traditional camera bag. It's got a look of luxury and class to it. Not that I have any sense of luxury to the way I look, but I don't feel like I'm carrying a camera sling when I'm out and about, if that makes any sense to you. It's just a nice bag that looks good. And if you want to get one yourself, stick around to the end of the video as there will be a 20% off coupon you can use to save a bit of money yourself. And with all this expensive gear, I have an AirTag hidden away so I can keep track of where this bag is headed. I also like to carry around a handful of these Zeiss lens wipes, which are incredibly good at cleaning your lenses, screens and glasses. And for the ultimate backup camera, I have my iPhone 15 Pro Max. It takes great looking images which are perfect for social media, but I'm a bit of a camera snob when it comes to images, and I'll only use this as a last resort. I think the quality is good, but when you start to pixel peak and apply some heavy edits, the images can fall apart quite easily. But that's not knocking these phones, because the best camera is always the one you have on you. Then, for solo adventures, I've got to have my AirPods Pro 2 with me at all times. When I'm out walking, I'll listen to a podcast or some music. Plus, if I ever need to take a phone call while I'm out on a hike or strolling through a forest, I can do it hands-free and carry on snapping photos while chatting away. So thank you very much for watching this video on my everyday camera sling. Hopefully you saw something you liked. If so, check the links in the description for places to pick up what you've seen. If you're seriously considering splashing out on the camera sling, Grams28 have given me a 20% off code for my audience. Just type wilmshurst20 all as one word in the checkout, which will knock the price down to £367.20. That's a huge saving on such a premium product, so if you do get one, enjoy the savings and I'll see you in the next one.